All right, folks, let's move on with our discussion of elections, etc. So we're going to talk about different types of elections in Texas, today's class session. And I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible, but like a lot of the stuff that we deal with in this course, that's just not as easy as it sounds, keeping it simple. Let's face it, the American political system is complicated. It's complex.
Too complex.
And it's probably why so many people end up disinterested, because it's just too much trouble to try to sort it out. But we're going to try. But it does mean that we have to talk about some concepts, some ideas that are probably a little bit more complicated than you would like. Okay? So let's begin by talking about the fact that there are two different types of elections in Texas and nationally. We have partisan elections and we have nonpartisan elections. And actually we made this distinction in Wednesday's class meeting, although we didn't make it formally or systematically. This is pretty straightforward. A partisan election, and those generally apply in Texas, those apply to statewide and county offices. So governor, lieutenant governor, comptroller of public accounts, agriculture commissioner, state board of education, railroad commission, state, district judges, state Supreme Court judges, county sheriff, county commissioner's court, county judge. All those state and county offices are conducted on a partisan basis, which means what?
The parties on the ballot, or the
candidates generally run as a nominee of a political party. So you see
What
Democratic
about the-
candidates on the ballot. I'm sorry?
What about the school board?
Well, that would fall into the next category, nonpartisan elections, right? So in Texas, this is not necessarily true in all states. It's true in most states, but not in all states. There are some states where council, people run for the mayor, people run for the city council or school boards as nominees of political parties. New York City, for example, would be a primary example of a large city where the candidates for mayor and city council run as nominees of political parties. Right? Anybody know who the current mayor of New York City is? No, he's the governor of New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Who's the mayor of New York City?
I'm not even going to answer.
So it's
not Giuliani anymore, is it?
Oh, he's been gone for a long time. He's been gone for 10 years at least, right?
The new guy's pretty cool.
His name is de Blasio, Bill de Blasio, and before him it was Bloomberg, right? So, by the way, do you know, is de Blasio a Democrat or a Republican?
Republican.
He's a Democrat. You're not on fire today.
Toast about me.
I'm gonna give it to you, dude.
His predecessor, though, de Blasio, and Giuliani were Republicans.
Republican.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, in Texas, city council elections, municipal elections, that's a better way to say it, municipal elections and special districts, like school districts and river authorities and, all those special districts that you remember reading about in your textbook a couple of weeks ago. Anybody who serves on those boards are elected on a nonpartisan basis. And of course, constitutional referenda in Texas are not, there's no party position on the ballot for those issues. Okay? So that's the first distinction that we want to make between partisan elections and nonpartisan elections. Now we're going to talk a little bit about partisan elections. And here you see that there's a couple of things here that we need to distinguish. We distinguish between the primaries and the general election. Now, lots of textbooks and other source material will use this terminology. They'll say primary elections. Okay? I think the author of your textbook says primary elections. I don't really like that, using that word election in the same breath as primaries. And the reason for that is I think it's confusing. Nobody is elected to office as a result of voting in primaries. Okay? It has all the trappings of an election. Right? There's a campaign, and voters go into a voting booth and they cast their ballot for their preferred candidate. Votes are counted and winners are announced, all that sort of stuff. So it has all the trappings of an election, but the bottom line is that you need to keep in mind, as I just said, as a result of the voting in the primary, no one is elected to a public office. What is the result of a primary?